Hey everyone, it's Lala. Thank you for coming back to my channel. So since I shared with you the set of pillowcases that I made for our living room, where me and my husband worked together to decorate our living room, he chose the colors and I did all the work. You wouldn't stop asking me for the pattern for this pillowcase, so I had to make a tutorial because it's super easy, super beginner friendly. It's not only very pretty, stylish and chic, it's also very nice to touch. Like the texture is super satisfying. So if you like textures, you like this pillow. If you don't know me, hi, my name is Lala. I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel and like this video so I can continue grow my channel and upload a new crochet tutorial every week. For this tutorial, I'm using only 2 colors because it will be simpler this way, but of course you can add more colors. Of course you can do any color combo you like, but I really recommend this color palette because it's really soothing to look at. And also Pantone declared the color of the year 2025 mocha mousse. Mocha mousse. As you can see, I'm really into browns lately. Grab your hooks and let's get crocheting. To begin, we're gonna have to start with a slip knot to start our foundation chain. If you're not sure how to make a slip knot, I made a video showing 3 different ways on how to do it, very slow and very detailed, so I'll link it up on screen right now. After the slip knot, we're going to chain 99 chains. If you're not sure how to chain, I'll link up right now a video I made on how to make a chain, how to hold the yarn and hook. Again, very slow and very detailed for beginners. Continue like that until you have 99 chains, and I'll see you at the end of the foundation chain. When we're done chaining 99, folded in half, our foundation chain should be something like 17 inches, 44-45 centimeters. If you didn't get this size or you want your pillowcase to be even bigger, you can add more chains as long as it multiples of 3. Next, we're going to slip stitch into the first chain we did in the beginning, but you have to make sure that the foundation chain isn't twisting. So make sure all chains are in the same place, and then insert your hook into the first chain. And slip stitch the 2 chains together. Again, make sure that your chain isn't twisted. It's very important at this stage of the project. Next, we're going to chain 1. And then we're going to work a granny stitch into that first chain we just slip stitched into. What is a granny stitch? A granny stitch is 3 double crochets in the same stitch. So to work our first double crochet, we'll have to fake it. We'll work a stacked single crochet, which is done by working a single crochet. Then we'll insert our hook into the left loop of the single crochet, yarn over into the left loop, and when we have 2 loops on our hook, we're going to yarn over into both of them. This was our first double crochet. I recommend using a stitch marker. It looks a bit different from the other double crochets, so you won't get confused. And then we're going to work 2 more regular double crochets into that same chain. So 1 double crochet and another double crochet into that same chain. And this was our first granny stitch. We're going to skip 2 chains, 1, 2, and then work another granny stitch into that 3rd chain. And 1 last double crochet. This is what we're going to repeat until the end of the round. Skip 2 chains and then work a granny stitch into that 3rd chain. So skip 2 chains and work a granny stitch into the third chain. Let's repeat this step until the end of the round when we have 2 chains left. We're at the end of round 1. One last granny stitch. Then you'll see you have 2 remaining chains and this slip stitch we used to join the foundation chain. We're not going to count this slip stitch as a stitch, it's just there to join the round. So at the end of the round we're going to skip these 2 chains, take out the stitch marker if you used one, and slip stitch into the first double crochet of the round. Then we're going to chain 1, pull up a loop, and secure the last loop with a stitch marker. Next we're going to work round 2, and for that we'll need the color B yarn, whatever color you chose. I'm gonna start with working a slip knot, put it on the hook, then we're going to insert our hook between the first 2 granny stitches of round 1. You see this is the first one because we slip stitched into the first double crochet in that granny stitch. So these are the 2 first ones. If you're having trouble identifying it, it will be the granny stitch to the left of the stitch marker. So insert your hook between the granny stitches, yarn over into the loop. When you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over into the both of them. And this is our first single crochet. Again, you can mark it with a stitch marker if you want to be sure at the end of the round which one is the first one. Next, we're going to chain 2. Skip the granny stitch and single crochet into the next space between the granny stitches. And simply repeat this until the end of the round. Chain 2 and single crochet between the granny stitches. I'll continue working my round off camera and I'll see you back again when we're here on the last granny stitch. Now when we get to the end of the round, of round 2, this is kind of a tricky part, so pay attention. You're gonna have this last granny stitch and the first granny stitch and the stitch marker and the loop between them. So try to get it out of the way. Single crochet between the first and the last granny stitches. Push the loop to the back so it won't bother you. Then work 2 chains, 2 last chains. Take out the stitch marker if you used one and slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round. And then chain 1, pull up a loop and secure the last chain. Also here a bit of a tricky part, but once you get it, it will be very easy. Take out the stitch marker from the first color A yarn, insert back the hook, take the yarn to your hand, and then you're going to pass the hook from the front to the back of this chain space between the granny stitch and the chain 2. How do we do that? Insert between from front to back, yarn over into the space, and now we're going to work a stacked single crochet, so it will be our first fake double crochet like we did in the beginning. Now we're going to work 2 more double crochets into that same chain space. 1 and 2. Again, you're going to ignore this last loop here and the stitch marker and simply move over to the next chain 2 space to work the next granny stitch. And next you're going to simply work a granny stitch into each of the next chain 2 spaces formed by round 2. Trust the process, it will look great at the end. I'll work my round off camera and I'll see you back again at the end of the round at the last chain 2 space. When we've completed our round, we're going to slip stitch into the first double crochet of the round, and chain 1. Pull up a loop and secure the last loop. Flip your work and find the last loop you secured with a stitch marker. Take out the stitch marker, insert back your hook, and insert your hook right above the stitch that we just marked. Between the granny stitches, yarn over into the loop, yarn over into the 2 loops, and this is our first single crochet. Chain 2, and single crochet into the next space. Repeat chaining 2 and work a single crochet into the granny stitches space until the end of the round. Just like we did before at the previous round, we're going to push back this marked stitch here and, as usual, work a single crochet into the granny stitches space. Chain 2, and then you're going to slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round. Chain 1, pull up a loop, and secure the loop with a stitch marker. You're going to alternate between rows 3 and 4 until you reach row 35. If you want your pillowcase to be bigger, of course you can continue work as many rows as you need, and I'll meet you back again at the end of round 35. And this is how our pillowcase will look when we've reached row 35. Of course, that if you need your pillowcase to be in other dimensions, you can continue or stop whenever you want. Took some time, but we're finally here and we're at our last row, row 35. So what we're gonna do next is close this side. Flip your work so the last stitch will be to your right or to your left if you're left-handed. First we can cut off color B yarn. So grab your scissors, leave some tail so we can weave it in later. Take out the stitch marker and just pull this strand here and tighten it up. Leave it like this, we'll weave it in later. And what you're going to do next is make sure that the first granny stitch, you see here's your stitch marker, so this is the first granny stitch of the round. The first granny stitch is corresponding to the last granny stitch, so these 3 double crochets are opposite to these 3 double crochets. Take out the stitch marker and place back your hook. And you're going to insert your hook into the first double crochet of the granny stitch and into the last double crochet of the corresponding granny stitch, like this. From above it will look like this. Then yarn over into all loops but the last one. And when you have 2 loops on your hook, grab the left one into the right one to form a slip stitch. And next, insert your hook into the next double crochet and also into the middle double crochet of the corresponding granny stitch. Yarn over and slip stitch. And this is how you're going to continue until you reach the end of the round. Check yourself every once in a while to make sure you do attach the right granny stitch to the right corresponding granny stitch. I'll continue working my slip stitches all the way to the end of the round row, and I'll see you back again at the end of the row. If you got this situation like me and the last granny stitch is folded in half, just slip stitch into the first double crochet and the last double crochet. It doesn't really matter if you're at the end. And chain 1, cut off the yarn, pull away the hook, tighten the stitch up. Next, grab a darning needle and weave in any tails left, both from yarn A or yarn B, or if you used more colors, just basically any tails left. When you've weaved in enough, you can just cut off the yarn, and I'll do the same also for yarn B. Don't forget that each tail has to be weaved in the same color. Next, we're going to flip our pillowcase, so the open side will be closer to us. Grab a piece of yarn. I'm choosing this color B yarn, but of course you can use any color you'd like. We're going to attach it over here to this side, so we can take out the pillow and bring it back in anytime we want for laundry and stuff. So cut a piece of yarn around 9 inches long, 22 centimeters long, and tie it to one of the most left chain spaces. Just put a regular shoelace tie. This is one. Cut 2 more pieces of yarn the same length, 9 inches. one of them to one of the side spaces, and the other one in the middle. Alright, let's get our pillow to put it in. Once you have your pillow inside the pillowcase, take one strand of the shoelace ties we did and just do a simple bow tie. If you want bigger bow ties, of course you can cut bigger pieces of yarn and do the same to the other two ties. Don't tie it too tightly. We want to be able to untie it, to take it out and to put it into cleaning, etc. And here is our pillowcase done. I'm kind of blending with it today because of the colors of my shrug. I really hope you liked it. It took me a lot of time to complete this video, so if you don't mind, please like this video, it will help a lot. And of course, consider subscribing to my channel, because why not? I upload a new tutorial every week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.